many businesses are still struggling to integrate AI effectively. What practical advice would you give to leaders who are hesitant or unsure as to where to start?
I think you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want to do? It goes back to that purpose thing that we talked about earlier, right? So you have to start thinking of what's the purpose of my organization or of the, business or a mission, whatever the case may be, and then say, okay, if my purpose is that I want to be more innovative, or I want to be more effective, or I want to generate more revenue, right? So that will dictate what kind of tools or technology you want to use, but also, in this case, what kind of AI partner. I don't mean the vendor as a partner, meaning that the AI will become a resource, just like we have human resource, it will be AI resource. And then, so how you define and craft that resource, the AI resource, will depend on the purpose that you're trying to establish for yourself and the mission that you're trying to accomplish. So you got to start there, not that should I use ChatGPT or should I use this or should I use that? Those are almost like secondary questions. So we remember when we were talking about the AI open model, the open framework. Open framework, it really starts with outlining your purpose, and then it goes into the next phase of experimentation and creating a portfolio of options that you can play with and decide where to go from there.
Yeah, that's a great starting point. That's great advice for a good starting point. We're also seeing that obviously AI is reshaping industries across the board. In your experience, what skills will be most essential for professionals to stay competitive in this AI-driven world?
I think it's two, three theme, right? So first theme is that all of us are going to have to hone our critical thinking skill to the next level, because it's the ability to ask the right question. It's not necessarily knowing the answer, because you're not going to know the answer, and you don't need to know the answer because there are assistants that will give you the answer. But the greatest user of, let's say, a AI system that provides you medical science related information is a person who knows a lot about medical science, not somebody who doesn't know anything about medical science, because you got to be able to ask the right question to get the right answer. So that's first. The second is that you have to have this notion of constant learning, because things are constantly changing. So whatever you learned yesterday is no longer true tomorrow, right? And then there's something better and better and better. So you have to get into the constant mode of learning, right? So that's the second part. And the third part is that you have to look at these technologies as a collaborator. So you have to have a partnering mentality, not that I'm just a user, or I'm going to compete against it, or I can't compete against it because I'm just one person and these systems are a collection of 10,000 brains. So you have to look at these things as a partner. So the combination of this ability to ask the right question, constant learning, and looking at these things as a partner, not just a passive thing that we are used to. Like, for example, a calendaring system as an example. You can look at it. Okay, I know I have a meeting on Monday, so I go and put that, and then I look it up, or it gives you some, alert that you have a meeting on Monday. Now you can imagine that your AI calendaring assistant assists you to schedule it, reminding you, etc. So in that context, it's now becoming a partner for you versus a passive system that's just sitting there and you just enter stuff and you look it up when you need it, right? So it's a different way of thinking, and I think this way of thinking is going to be what's going to dictate how successful you're going to be with this kind of new changing environment versus otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And do you think AI training, AI certifications are going to become a necessity for professionals or something that would be of value?
Yes, of course. I mean, it never hurts to learn, and it depends on your profession, right? So, and there'll be different kind of training and programs. So you may say, okay, if you are a technical person, you may say, okay, I'm gonna get a certificate on one type of model, because I can take those API and embed it into a particular system that I'm developing, or I may get a certification on data science that allows me to craft the data model for this, the particular large language model that I'm establishing, right? So, or you may learn that I'm going to learn how to be you hear a lot about prompt engineering, which is really a way of saying that you have to learn how to ask the question so that you can get the right answer. It all depends what is it that you want to do, and we've seen in various certification and training program comes and goes as technology came and evolved. So you saw the early days of internet, people were learning Java and this and that, and then we learned how to code, things on ERP and CRM, and that, then we gotten certification on cloud engineering and other sort of thing, and then so I'm sure there'll be lots of these kind of training that you can go through, but the good news is that because the way the technology is, it doesn't take much to learn these things. It doesn't also take much to get certification because they're all available on your fingertip from your computer. You don't have to sit in a classroom to learn this stuff anymore.
Right. Yeah. So for someone who is looking to upskill in AI, whether that's in technology or in business or any other fields, what learning paths or resources would you recommend?
This is such a vast topic, right? It's like I want to travel the world, so where should I start, right? So it's that kind of a question. So I would say that ask yourself what is it that you want to do, and try to focus your learning pattern, from that point of view. So if you say, look, I want to be a technical expert, how to set these things up, that's one type of question. If you say, okay, I want to, going to be I want to be a better leader in this changing environment, who's going to lead a large organization. These are different kind of things that you should be pursuing. And, I mean, there's from vendors to the universities to, the, L&D programs, to all sorts of things are available, right? But it goes back again to the purpose. What's the purpose? What are you trying to do? Stop there and then move on from there.
Right. And, some people think that AI is going to eliminate jobs, other things it's going to create new opportunities. What's your take on how AI will transform the workforce?
I think in the short term, we're going to have a massive shock. So let me explain what I mean by that. So imagine, you're already seeing this, like, combination, it's a combination of AI and robotics, right? So the physical labor, like, repeated physical labors, like, for example, not just what happens in warehouse, like, the robots are not stocking shelves and whatnot, and there'll be delivery robots that's going to deliver stuff. Your McDonald's is going to be staffed with robotic AI that's going to keep creating the hamburgers because it's a repeated process. Taxis are going to be driven by automated cars, and then even in the knowledge workers, you don't need 10 researchers. You can get away with 2 researchers because you have AI assistant. So you can imagine in next 3 to 5 years, 40%, 70% jobs are no longer going to be there, or going to be dramatically different. So what will happen, you're going to have, just like it happened with a lot of previous technological revolution, you will have these massive job loss, or or marginalized workforce that are no longer going to be happy. So if you want to mitigate that, there's an individual responsibility, there's an organizational responsibility, and there is a responsibility by government, because government provides the infrastructure that supports the citizens of that particular country to upskill, to be economically mobile, and be, et cetera, et cetera. So what's going to happen, it all depends on what we collectively do over the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years. So if you now all of a sudden, market gets flooded with NVIDIA and Tesla robots, obviously businesses are going to be highly incentivized to go and get those versus paying people salary because they were not going to sustain. So the businesses are going to be all disrupted because of those technology, and the people are going to be disrupted because of the technology. So it goes back to those, it's like a triangular factor between individual, organization, and government. What happens to humanity next?